Hi there, it's Zach. Feel free to argue. Got a whole bunch of stuff here. You know, Obama made some of his appointments known today, at least who he wants. Going to talk about those. Talk about pragmatism and a call-in that I made to a local show. And actually, though, before I get into any of that, though, I did see a funny bumper sticker this morning. It said, invest in America, buy a congressman. On that note, let's move into the appointments. Hey, more fun. Well, you got Clinton at Secretary of State, Janet Napolitano as Secretary of Homeland Security, Gates as Secretary of Defense, and James Jones as a National Security Advisor. Also that Rice woman going to the United Nations. Well, I've already talked about Rice. I don't think I need to talk about Clinton. I think we all know what a complete disaster she is. And, Gates, I think we've had plenty of time to get used to him as well. So let's talk about some of these other people who are probably not as well known to a lot of people. Napolitano, governor of McCain's home state of Arizona. McCain, very pleased that she's going to be taking a post in the Obama administration, since he was worried that she was going to be running against him to try to take his seat away in the next election. Some people are even speculating that she may only, do the national thing for a couple of years and still come back and take his Senate seat. So he may live to regret, giving her some compliments at this point, since it may be coming back to haunt him later. Aside from that, she's one of the great Democratic hawks on immigration. Favored a whole bunch of really egregious and invasive stuff, favors the wall, favors stationing troops on the border. And I mean, I don't know how people out there, feel about immigration, whether you're Lou Dobbs types or not. But honestly, I'm not a big fan of all this anti-immigration stuff. And the reason for it is fairly simple. If I were to be completely in favor of all this anti-immigration stuff, I would be an absolute, complete, and total hypocrite. Because my very existence is due to illegal immigration and legal immigration. A combination of the two things. I'm first generation on both sides. My mom is a legal immigrant from Switzerland. I had a green card when I was born, and my father was an illegal immigrant from Mexico, who I think later became nationalized. I actually never met, aside from as a baby, my birth father. Got an adopted father instead. But anyway, all that aside, so I wholly owe my entire existence to illegal immigration. And I guess some savoir-faire. But aside from that, not a very comfortable choice for me, for those reasons. Then you have James Jones as this National Security Advisor. Well, he's been retired for a while. And while he's been retired, where has he been? Well, he's been on the board of two of the most corrupt companies on the face of the earth. I'm talking about Boeing and Chevron. So here we have this incredibly corrupt crony capitalist, being ushered into, Obama's administration as part of his defense team. And hey, what I think is really interesting about all this stuff? Well, I guess Obama, if you want to believe he's a progressive, he's the only one, eh? Just about. Well, I'll tell you about this experience I had this morning calling into a local radio talk show, a public radio talk show. It's called All Things Political, sort of like a takeoff on All Things Considered. Every Monday morning, a local person, Kathleen Dunn, does a show talking about Just like, whatever's politically in the news that week, call-in show. So I call in, because they had this woman there, journalist, allegedly, talking about how wonderful the Obama, administration is going to be. How he's picking all these wonderful, pragmatic people who know how to get the job done. So, first of all, I'm not very happy that, someone who calls themselves a journalist is just kind of wholeheartedly praising it, talking about how happy she is that she's got her, invitation to the inauguration, how thrilled she is about that. So I had to call in. I asked her this question. It's like, okay, I feel like the entire dialogue in this country is between the center and the right. And honestly, I see Obama's nomination so far for posts as being totally emblematic of this tendency. So, and then I challenged her. I said, can you name one person? One person. That's all I asked. I said, can you name one person who you think represents an honest-to-goodness progressive? And the answer was, no. I cannot name even one person who is a progressive. So, for those of you who are, so happy about the bipartisan nature of the Obama appointments so far, I would have to say, they're not really bipartisan. They're all Republicans so far. But some of them are called Democrats, but you know what? They're all deeply up the anus of the military-industrial complex. They're all deeply up the anus of the current power system in this country. So you have people tied to the banking industry. You have people tied to the military-industrial complex. You have people tied to the big-time corporatocracy oligarchy. So that's the situation that we have right now, and that's what I've been looking at. And I just want you to be leery of a word that I keep seeing cropping up all the time when I'm reading about Obama. Oh, by the way, interesting thing about the Jones thing. I was trying to find out what because I remember he was like part of these two boards, and I read like 5-6 articles about Jones this morning, and not a single one of them mentioned the fact that he is on the board for these two insanely corrupt companies. Not one. Not one. So that's your mainstream media who refuses to do any kind of groundwork whatsoever. But the other thing I wanted to mention was, there's this word that keeps cropping up, and I'm really beginning to get fucking sick of it. Pragmatism. Pragmatism. Whenever anybody's trying to shove something down your throat that is unpalatable, they say, oh, well, we got to do that. It's the pragmatic choice. And that makes you feel like, oh, well, what you want is unpragmatic. It's unrealistic. Why do you even want that? You just got your head up in the clouds and you don't even, have any kind of nodding acquaintance with the real world, blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what? I'm getting really tired of pragmatism because, pragmatism just seems to be a fancy word for you can't have what you want. We're going to try to define it away as being unreasonable. Well, you know what? A lot of what I want is apparently unreasonable. But it doesn't seem that unreasonable to me. Like, wanting us to really go down, stop engaging in such incredible warlike behavior. I don't want to have an escalation of the military. I don't want to have, like this quotation from Obama from Reuters. We will ensure that we have the strategy and resources to succeed against Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. And going forward, we will continue to make the investments necessary to strengthen our military and increase our ground forces to defeat the threats of the 21st century. Well, first of all, you don't need ground forces to defeat the threats of the 21st century. And we don't need to strengthen our military when we're already spending as much as the rest of the world put together. So that's me. That's me being upset this morning. And hopefully some of you people are upset too. You're doing some writing. You're getting on your congressman's back, and you're letting him know that you're upset with the direction, that things are going. Anyway, it's Zach Elliott. Have a good day.